Good morning. Sorry, it's becoming quite common that I do these without a shirt on. I apologize for that. It's kind of my life, though. It's so humid right now where I live because it just seems to be a rainforest of constant, never-ending rain, which then increases humidity in the air. So obviously got NFP here in about 7 minutes or so, which everybody's going to be interested in. I am a little bit too. But why I'm interested in it is where we are right now. I mean, do we have to beat the horse to death? Probably not. We know where we're at. We're in balance here. We continue to be in balance. Now you're going on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, including yesterday. So what happens with NFP today, whether it has any impact on the market at all, is you're at the top side of this balance range. Now, yesterday I talked about how, based off of how we've traded prior, the odds favor a liquidation event over a breakout event, and how if we do get that breakout event, that could be potentially showing change in the market. It could be starting maybe another stronger leg to the upside. Which we really haven't had, right? As we look at the market, we are going higher. Yes, we are making new all-time highs. It feels like every other week. But this is by no means a strong upside move. We've not seen a strong upside move in this market really since, the gap out and run. So that's way back in April. That was the first time where we got the gap out, had a nice little trend, which pushed us away from what was, very similar type balance range that we'd been trading in. To what we're trading in now. So that's kind of what I'm looking for now. If we get that type of move, obviously something has changed in the market short time frame. And from there, we can make some better, decisions going forward. If we are to break out and go, we could be looking at that next leg up, that next strong leg up, and position ourselves accordingly. If we don't, the odds, again, would favor a liquidation event, because that's what seems to happen each and every time we get stuck in these balances at the all-time high. We get some sort of liquidation event, which is bought up aggressively. So that's kind of what I'm looking for right now in the ES, especially with NFP going to hit today. We have some pretty interesting levels we can go off of. Anytime I'm above the all-time high, I'm not ultra bullish. I think it's probably detrimental to be ultra bullish when you're at the all-time high, unless something changes, unless we finally find that buyer above this 08 that's going to push us higher into the market, that's going to start that potential next leg up. So from yesterday, one thing to keep in mind is we had a 13 wide point of control on the 2-tick chart. Now on the single tick chart, I think it's only a 12, but that's a perfect point of control, right? The market had an emotional move away from that point of control. So there's something I like to look for called a Globex fade, which is fading very late on that move for the potential move back towards that point of control. Now, you got some of that move last night, but it wasn't nearly as aggressive as I would have hoped for. And I actually only got, probably 6 points out of the whole thing because I stopped out on the remainder. But that is a trade I really, really like to take. It's a high odds trade when you have a very prominent point of control. I do talk about this trade in my profile series too. So as more subscribers sign up for the channel, I'll start releasing more and more of those profile series from the original. But that's a trade I like to take, is the odds favor retracement back towards that 13 wide point of control over a continuation of opening and jamming higher. Now, the spike today is valid, okay, or yesterday is valid. The reason I say that is I'm a firm believer gaps and spikes within structure mean absolutely nothing. You're especially in the current market where it's more just balancing. When you start to spike away from a balance range, whether it's to the upside or downside, you need to pay more attention to it. So as you can see from the Globex session, the spike base was held. So they found a supportive bid. Keep in mind, that supportive bid is coming from, what was close to our previous all-time high as well. So there's a buyer who's, probably weaker in sense that is pushing the market higher. So it's something to keep in mind. Volume has been atrocious the last couple days here, and I'm sure the first 2 days prior, I haven't paid attention to it just because, I didn't trade the first 2 days of the week. So it's also key to keep in mind that although we have moved higher, we've done it on very suspect volume. So keep that in the back of your mind. But like I said, the biggest thing today is how do we respond where we are now? Are we going to start that next leg up and actually see a strong upside move or are we going to see a liquidation event again, which then brings in the opportunity to buy the dip? So that's where I'm at with ES. Coming into R2Y, nothing for me is changing R2Y. Nothing will change for me in R2I until we find a seller below 2160. So I'm still in that swing long that I started forever ago. And I'll just continue to watch it as 2320 is my ultimate target. Now, where R2Y is, R2Y has struggled, okay? Each and every time we get up to 2244, they seem to find a seller. And that brings the move back towards 2210, 2202, at which point they regroup somewhere below or around, and then they try and move the market back up one more time. So that's where I'm at with R2I. Is it tradable? Potentially. 26 is obviously your early line in the sand type idea. It's the support level. It's where I'd want to monitor the most. How we respond around there, I think, will dictate if R2Y is going to drop down to 2210 or find support and attack 2244. Again, NFP could have an impact on all this. As I'm looking at NQ, yesterday we talked about NQ. We talked about, 126, 116 as being an area of interest. It's obviously was resistance. We're now trying to look above it. We more balanced above it than we did aggressively move away from it. I think that's a piece of information you don't want to lose sight of. It was not so much a grab it, trend it, and run. It was more take the stops out in C and D period and then balance out for the remainder of the day. So there was not an aggressive move by any means that took us higher in NQ. And because of that, I need to see how we respond at 124. I need to see us pull back into that level, see if they're going to reclaim it as support. And if they do, at that point, I can make a decision if I want to get long for, again, a potential upside move, or if we sweep below it, the potential to sell any retest or rebound back to that level. So that's where I'm at coming into, the market today. Obviously, we're going to get NFP dropping here in about 30 seconds, which, probably be, half interesting at least. We'll see. I mean, it could very well just be a nothing move. If the trade works out, I'll most likely take a trade on it. Just make sure my DOMs are all set up properly for that potential. And we'll kind of see what happens here when it drops. I mean, like I said, it could be a nothing move or it could be something big. Do you think, that NFP is going to miss? I doubt it. But we're about to find out here, so let's take a look. So last time, remember, we had NFP. I think we dropped like an absolute rock, kind of what NQ's done here early, right into that supportive level. It's definitely something I want to monitor here, how we respond below it. I don't even know what the actual numbers are here. So that's pretty much on base. Nothing really crazy. Look at R2Y running. NQ's looking like a potential long here, but it's not something you want to just jump in all hands on deck. There's no point in not waiting. You can definitely wait. If you already get long, I think you'll probably be on the right side. Look at R2Y back up to 22.44 right away, which is very interesting, of course. That's where you expect to see resistance. Looks like R2Y and NQ may be, rotating a little bit. Let's see here. Where's my Dow at? Dow is running. That should drag ES with it. R2Y is really starting to run. I'm not comfortable chasing this by any means. Let R2Y do its thing. It's going to run up to the 50-day moving average where we expect to see a seller. So NQ did, in fact, come down, test that support level at 24 to 16 level. For right now, they've held it as support. It's still pretty early. You're only 1 minute and 30 seconds into the release. You're going to get a first emotional drive one way or the other, at which point, they usually like to come back, retest some structure, and move from there. Made a new all-time high in the ES here. I'm watching the tape pretty closely. I'm watching to see if we're getting absorption anywhere, even in the Globex session, which doesn't happen often. But it's definitely something you want to monitor for. Now, if R2Y and NQ are going to rotate, as NQ starts to rally here, you should start to see R2Y start to falter towards its high. So a lot of volume sitting up here in R2Y just above the 53 level. It's definitely something to pay attention to. The Dow, of course, is running a little bit similar like this. So we'll see kind of what happens. Like I said, I think the most interesting aspect of this entire thing is to see if they're going to change the market as far as we actually start a rally off of this balance rather than a liquidation off of this balance. As it stands right now, we're looking above the balance area. Are we getting super aggressive yet? I'm not sure I can say yes. Do I want to sell it? Probably not right now, no. I think you just want to stick with it and allow the market to kind of play itself out. Like I said, usually you're going to see a retracement through these moves just to come in and make sure that it's actual buying or actual selling. And from that point, I think the decision is easier to make as far as which direction you want to take the market. So I'm watching NQ the closest here. NQ is the first to really come back through its move here. I know it's going to come back potentially into my support level, or what I think could turn into support, at which time I need to be, properly prepared. Now, I could probably take along, I would think, in NQ anywhere close to 28 that pauses. That's probably kind of what I'm looking for at this point. I think, the potential is there for them to hold. Oops. So, sorry, I just put some buys out here on NQ. My daughter's coming down now. You get to enjoy her background feed. She'll probably tell me just to push the buttons harder.
Daddy, we can come down.
Yeah, just be quiet, please. So as I'm watching here, you're seeing kind of what you would expect to see, right? The initial move. Now you're getting that back feed move. I'm paying attention to the Dow. The Dow's obviously an impressive market that can drag the others. And the Dow's kind of holding steady right now. So it is finding a bit of resistance just above that 5,000 number. But it's not getting dragged below like you would think. Now you're seeing somebody on NQ try to push this lower. Let's see what happens when we get into our support level here. Are they going to liquidate this some more, or are they going to bounce? See that strong sweep they just pulled on NQ? Somebody is selling the market right now, so you should be mildly cautious with what you plan to do. You're looking right at the support level. If they're going to bounce it, they need to bounce it quickly. Otherwise, 5100 comes into play. Apologize about my children in the background, but they are children, so I won't apologize that much. So notice how all the markets came back through, really. Everything except R2I has come back through its initial rally. You're getting ES doing a similar event. NQ obviously took the early buyers, ran them up, and then dropped the hammer on them. You're getting R2I that's looking to get back below 2244. This is make or break it time as far as what they're going to do here. This is a look above your all-time highs, look above your balance ranges. You're going to need the Dow to get aggressive here if you think the ES is going to rally. And for right now, the Dow is dropping just like ES with NQ, which is not a good sign if you are looking to be long the market. Keep in mind where NQ is on the daily, right? We know what happens to NQ when it gets up here. It doesn't get very aggressive very often, and more likely gets hammered back down. So it's something to pay attention to. All these levels here are observation levels, right? I'm not marrying them. I'm not, all in on them. I don't believe that they're buy levels, for instance, but they're definitely observing levels. They're levels you want to see how the market responds. I'm really watching ES now as well. See what ES does as it pushes back up towards 25.5, 26 area. Be a nice retest of the initial move. R2I still doing business, man. Still doing business. So the fact that NQ bounced so close to the 5100 number, it's not, to me, I don't find that very, very inviting. I think the much better play is to just sit here and monitor this. Any move that pushes back up towards 32, 35 area that fails, I think is shortable against just W and V's high, which is the low side of value. And likewise, any move that pushes down towards 5,100 that accelerates, I think you've missed any opportunity. If I was to get long, I think you need to see it get up to 5144, 5140 area and then buy a pullback, at which point you need to designate your risk as far as where you would exit such a trade. Keep in mind, my biggest trade right now is my swing in RTY, and it has been, for quite a couple weeks now. So I'm not super interested in getting too involved on the day trade time frame. I'm just happy with how RTY is responding right now is all. See what happens at the 50 in RTY. Notice how nothing's super excited, right? You kind of got your initial push. Now you're not really getting much off that. That's why it's really important not to get too carried away with, the excitement value of it. It's not going to change everything. It could potentially show us the potential for change based off of where the markets are. But from an overall standpoint, this one simple little number here is not going to change much in the market, if anything. A short-term injection of volatility, which a lot of people get into, get sucked into, get blown out, and it's Friday, and you go into the weekend sad, right? So that's where I'm at for the day. I mean, nothing really occurs. Thanks for jumping on. If you enjoy this stuff, if you enjoy these videos, please give me the thumbs up and a subscribe. Otherwise, it's Friday. Don't be so anxious to get into the market. Trade well, trade safe, and I will check you guys again.